Every semester I receive lots of questions from students about the textbooks that are required for the class. Which ones are required, which ones do they really have to buy, and which ones do they not have to buy, which editions could they buy in order to save money. And I've tried to spell this out in the syllabus, but let me just point out a couple of the really important things to keep in mind. The first thing is that American Politics Today is the main textbook. You will have a hard time getting through this class without this textbook. And when you purchase this textbook, you'll want to make sure that you buy the full edition and not the, sometimes it's called the core edition, sometimes the essentials edition. Those editions cut out 3 chapters that you'll be responsible for. So you'll end up having to go to the library and sit and read them, and it just doesn't really save you much time or money doing that. So buy the full edition. Every semester I have several students at least who make the mistake of buying the wrong edition. So the full edition. I'm using the 4th edition in this class, but students can save money by buying the 3rd edition. I don't recommend this at this point because this textbook's been out for a couple of years, so you can buy editions, 4th editions for a reasonable price online if you want to do that. But if you do buy the 3rd edition, you're going to have to make sure that you pay attention to the changed chapter numbers. They renumbered the chapters and changed the order of them. And I'm not going to keep track of that for you. You'll have to do that. So I recommend you just stick with the 4th edition for this class. Secondly, you'll need Governing California. This is the textbook that satisfies the California portion of the course. That's part of the required content for this course. We're using Governing California, the 5th edition. You can buy the 4th edition. It's not a big deal. It's fairly inexpensive online. We don't use it very much, so if you're really trying to save money, you could go to the library and look at these pages. But it's not very expensive also, so you can get it online for fairly cheaply, or even in the bookstore for fairly cheaply. Third, Readings in American Politics, 3rd edition by Coleman. The earlier editions do not have the same readings, so I don't recommend buying any of the other editions of this. We will use this textbook for the writing assignments, but I won't use all of it. So you can look through the syllabus, see how many chapters I'm going to assign, and you can make your decision about whether you want to just read it in the library or whether you want to purchase a copy. So those are the 3 textbooks. There are lots of places you can get the textbooks. But if you don't have your textbooks yet, you must get them very quickly. The semester started, and we're going to be moving ahead full speed. So if you don't have your textbooks, you're already behind the curve. We'll also be reading the New York Times in this class. Just think of it as an example of a newspaper. The New York Times, their website is fairly easy to use still. Some of the other national newspapers, their websites are not quite as easy. It is the case that the New York Times in their editorial pages does lean somewhat to the left. You'll want to just be aware of that. But in the main content of the stories, most of the national newspapers, we're talking the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, the Chicago Tribune, LA Times, the content in the main parts of the stories is pretty much the same. And that's the stuff that I'll be using at any rate. So if you would rather use another newspaper to keep track of what's going on in class, you can do that. But when I do use the New York Times, I will assign a particular story for you to read that'll be on one of the quizzes. And you could read about the same issue in another newspaper and see if you can do okay on the quiz question. If you have any other questions about the textbooks, feel free to email me. I hope I've covered everything about them. All right.